So you went to a QME and the QME said you're not yet PNS, not yet MMI. What does this mean for the case? Well, a few things. So we'll back up a little bit. Permanent and stationary, or MMI, so maximal medical improvement. We kind of use the terms interchangeably these days. They changed the definition. They went from PNS to MMI, I don't even know, 10 years ago. So basically it means your condition is not likely to significantly improve or get worse, not really going to change over the next year with or without treatment. You've kind of hit a plateau as to how good you're going to get after the injury. Once your condition is permanent and stationary, or MMI, then insurance company will stop temporary disability. They'll have permanent work restrictions. The employer can determine whether they can accommodate those. Insurance company might start permanent disability advances. It's really a shift in the case when you start to move towards settlement. But if you go to a QME and the QME says, he's not yet PNS, not yet maximally medically improved, what does that mean? If you were getting temporary disability, generally it means that's going to continue. The treating doctor has you off work or has you on work restrictions that your employer cannot accommodate. And the QME is basically saying, I agree, the guy still needs treatment. His condition isn't at a plateau yet. It's not ready to move forward with settlement. Generally, the QME is going to lay out recommendations as to why the injured worker isn't PNS and what it will take to get him or her there. So the QME says, not PNS, I would recommend a consultation with an orthopedic surgeon. I would recommend MRI studies to determine if there is any torn ligament or meniscus in the knee. Not PNS because I would recommend nerve conduction testing to see what's going on. Maybe there's bilateral carpal tunnel syndrome. Not permanent and stationary, just started physical therapy and need to continue that physical therapy for the next 6 weeks and see if the injured worker gets better. Basically, not permanent and stationary, the QME is going to generally recommend further treatment or testing. And then once that treatment or testing is done, injured worker ends up going back to the QME and there's a reevaluation. So then you go back to the QME. QME says, hey, you finished that physical therapy. How are you feeling now? Do you have better range of motion? Do you have more strength? Do you feel better? Are you taking less pain meds? Or you have the bilateral carpal tunnel studies, the nerve conduction studies, and the QME looks at it and says, good news. You had that tingling in your wrist, but there's no indication that there was bilateral carpal tunnel syndrome. So basically, when a QME says you're not PNS, you're not MMI, the QME is going to recommend further testing or treatment, and you're going to have to get re-examined by the QME. You're going to have to go back. When? It depends. Sometimes it's short. QME wants you to go through a month or two of physical therapy, and you can go right back to the QME. Sometimes it takes maybe a year to go back to the QME because the QME says, you know what? Injured worker has quite a bit of lumbar pain, quite a bit of radiculopathy. They really should see a neurosurgeon for possible lumbar surgery. Injured worker goes to the QME or the surgeon. Surgeon says, ooh, you need surgery. Requests authorization. Insurance company authorizes it. Well, now you're going to be off work for potentially up to a year. Then you would go back to the QME for a re-exam. So in that case, maybe a year and a quarter, year and a half before you go back to the QME. But that's the bottom line. The injured worker, or the QME, is saying the injured worker isn't at a plateau. It's not ready to move to settlement. We need more treatment. We need more testing. Send the injured worker back once all of that is done. We'll do a re-exam. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button down below and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos.